Now it's time for Woman's Hour with Krupa Padhy.
Welcome and thank you for joining us on this gusty Friday. We hope wherever you are listening to us, you are warm and safe. Vigils have been held in New York this week in memory of Christina Yuna Lee. The 35-year-old was found dead in her bathtub in the early hours of Sunday morning after being followed to her apartment by her attacker. He had stabbed her over 40 times. Her death comes amid a rise in violence against Asian Americans, with women now reporting incidents at twice the rate of men. Community activist Grace Lee will be joining us from New York. We're also going to talk about Black Cake, the title of Charmaine Wilkerson's debut novel, the story of an elderly mother who, after she dies, leaves an 8-hour audio message to her children full of life-changing revelations. One of the key themes in her book is the idea of food connecting us to our past, our heritage, and how it brings families together. Charmaine will be with us to tell us more about Black Cake. But if there's a dish of significance that binds you to your mother, your grandmother, your roots, maybe you've lost the art of making something the way your elders did, and in doing so, you might feel like you've lost a part of your identity. Please do get in touch to share. I also want to hear your stories about naming your baby. Mum of 3 in the US, Elizabeth Leslie Edwards, announced the name of her baby to the nurse at the hospital and was shocked when the nurse laughed in reaction. She's posted her story on TikTok and that's been viewed over 1 million times. She called her baby, by the way, Honey Bay. We all know that naming your baby is a huge responsibility and it takes a lot of thought. My own daughter was nameless for a month because we couldn't quite nail it. So how have people reacted when you've shared your baby's name and how's that made you feel?
And after that, we spent like 52 hours to get to Warsaw.
Which no doubt has been a really difficult journey. But even from the very beginning, hearing those attacks from within your apartment with your 2 little boys, aged 8 and 6, a very similar age to my children, how do you explain that to them? What do they ask you?
So I was just telling them that we are under attack. And at the moment we are safe, but when we feel like we have to move, they have to listen to us. And normally I ask them about something, but now this is a time to get orders from family.
Your dynamics entirely changed, like you said, from asking a child to do something, you're now having to order a child to do something.
Yes, it was really hard for them because the elder was just frightened and he was trying to do his best, but the younger was super angry with that. This anger was also hard to deal with because children don't have these brain parts developed enough to cope strong feelings.
Well, I don't think even us adults would have the capacity to manage all of what is happening there in Ukraine. You decided to then pack up and leave. Can I ask, what did your children choose to take with them as you decided to take on that journey?
I only allowed them to take one favorite toy.
Can I ask what those toys were?
Yes, for my elder, it was a toothless. And for my younger, it was some kind of transformer.
Even that, for a young child, to say from your huge toy box, which you may see again, we hope, maybe not, choose one toy. That is a huge decision. Your big decision there is choosing to take your children to another country. Their big decision in their world is, what toy am I going to take?
That's a bit about my journey and my experience with stuttering.
I feel quite emotional listening to all 3 of you because so much of what all 3 of you say resonates. I too remember being about 7 and being asked to read out a short chapter in class and realised, hey, that didn't sound quite right. And then trying to hide it. And then, like you say, Carl, hiding it is absolutely exhausting. And that's why we've invited all 3 of you on, because we want to talk about the influence of recent events in the news and what they may have had on your stammer. Let's talk about lockdown, because it's been so hard on so many of us in different ways, and a lack of communication and physical contact, that's been a massive part of it, the isolation. How's it been for you, and how's it impacted your speech? And by all means, please do speak to each other here. I'm going to take a step back.
So I cannot even begin to think about the effect that the pandemic and the lockdown has made on me. So it was
I'm near here.
And we are seeing a tweet from President Zelensky saying that it is believed that people and children are under the wreckage. What more can you tell us, sir?
The same situation. So it was Peaceful Hospital, and it was Children's Hospital number 3 in Mariupol, and also other building near it. It's the building of women who are ready to born kids. So we don't understand how it's possible in modern life to bomb children's hospital.
It is indeed horrific to hear what has unfolded there. Extremely sad, and our heart goes out to all those impacted there on the ground. You said that you cannot tell us exactly where you are, but have you spoken to people near the site, those who may well have escaped from the area?
They have total anger. It's not even awful. It's not.
Naomi, let me bring you back in here. How have other countries dealt with that anxiety that some parents may feel about vaccinating their young children?
Well, Lizzie's right that some countries have seen their uptake of childhood vaccinations for COVID much slower than adults.
Let me bring in this message from a listener, Anne, who's sent us an email. I heard people saying that children's immunity is strong and that vaccines are probably not needed, but I thought that children's immunity system is not fully functional until they are 7 years old. So I'm left wondering what's really the case. That one for you, Dr. Mann.
Children's, you're right. So in very, very early life.
Joy, you've become a bit of an Instagram star, almost 20,000 followers. And I have to say, your facial expressions in those photos are absolutely fantastic. What do you both make of the media attention that you've both received?
You want to take that one, Grandma? How are you feeling about all this attention?
I think people must not have anything else to do with their life.
I think she underestimates the uniqueness of what she's doing, because I'm getting thousands and thousands of messages that she hasn't had a chance to read yet.
And tell me more about those messages. What have people been saying or asking you?
I think people want to know, where we're going to go next. They're anxious to see.
However, if you're a Republican, you can always proudly say you're an American. You don't need to attack yourself and say that you're a Hispanic American and Mexican American. You're just going to be an American, period. End of the story.
That's really interesting to hear that, Srilekha. And just to interject on what you're saying there, Srilekha, you talk about feeling more American by voting for President Trump. But here we have a president-elect who is going to reverse the decision to the travel ban on citizens from the 7 mostly Muslim countries. We've got a president-elect who will reinstate an Obama-era policy of granting immigration status to undocumented migrants who enter the US as children, etc. So I'm just wondering how that leaves you feeling, whether or not here we have a president-elect who is seemingly more pro-immigrant.
No, ma'am. I think he's confusing the people.
And as we end this program, we are seeing the AFP and Reuters news agencies reporting that Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has landed in Turkey, ready for talks with Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba. Turkey is hosting the 2 ministers for their first face-to-face meeting since the invasion began 2 weeks ago, and also the first meeting at that level between the two sides. I'm Krupa Padhy, and you've been listening to BBC OS. Do join us again tomorrow.